All-NBA first team. But can you be second team? Can you be third team? Yes, because attendance matters in today's NBA. Sometimes if you miss out on games, you just miss out on games. And we all understand how important attendance is, y'all. So I'll come to you when I'm president. This is going to be my campaign promise. Stars will play. Stars will be held accountable. Stars will get paid. And stars, if they miss it by a game or two, they will be able to appeal to me, your president, to see if they can get All-NBA first team or MVP. But only if they fall a game short.
You got hail to the Chief playing. I mean, that's well done.
Thank
well
you.
done. You've got my vote. You don't look like you feel the same way about Vince's proposal here. It doesn't look like you're going to be checking his name on the ballot, David.
I'm sorry, I blacked out when he said president. I don't know, you president of what? I don't know what president of the Shiny Earring Club, president. I don't know what president we're talking about here.
Why you
know talking about the president of the United States of America. You can't possibly talk about that. If I can cast my ballot for anybody else right now, I will do that right now. I'm sorry, I blacked out in the whole conversation. But if we're going to talk about the 65-game rule, I think you should just get rid of it. Just absolutely get rid of it. It's a thing where you have voters, or you're making voters decide something that they already decide anyway. For the most part, voters do not vote for guys for MVP or first team if they play 60, 58, 55 games. That already factors in to how you do the voting. And to point to how sort of silly this rule is, if Victor Wembanyama at any point in these next two games stands in the corner during a game for 20 minutes and does nothing, suddenly he's eligible for Defensive Player of the Year, and he wouldn't be if he didn't do that. Or look at somebody like Jokic. If Jokic bangs his toe or catches a cold and misses a game, suddenly he's not one of the best players, one of the 5 best players in the world. We can't consider him for MVP or first team All-NBA. I just don't want to live in a world in which I can check off a box for DeAndre Ayton for MVP, and I cannot check off a box for Luka Doncic for MVP. The rule does not need to exist because voters already honor the rule by not voting for people for not playing enough games.
But he's getting, let's use Cade Cunningham as an example. He's getting penalized right now, and he's somebody who said, I understand the rule, I respect the rule, but he's getting penalized for an injury.
A legitimate injury.
In a legitimate injury. And that's the problem, Vince, where you have, Luka Doncic didn't try to hurt his hamstring. He wasn't load managing his way into not playing. That was an injury. Same thing with Cade Cunningham. Same thing with Wemby. How do you rectify that part?
I think we're looking at the end and not looking at the beginning. Like David's bringing up not being able to check these guys off on a ballot and saying that they can't win MVP. That's not why the rule was put in place. The rule was put in place so that fans can buy a ticket.
What's up, everybody? We are back. And today we are watching First Take, Vinny Goodwill, David Dennis Jr., and the crew. They're talking about the 65-game rule. And the title of this segment should be, The Rule That's Ruining Basketball. Let me set the scene. Victor Wembanyama has a rib contusion. He's missed 16 games. He needs to play 20 minutes in one of the Spurs' final 2 games to be eligible for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. The Spurs are locked into the 2 seed. They have nothing to play for. So Wemby might have to shoot up, stand in the corner for 20 minutes doing nothing, just to check a box. David Dennis Jr. said that exact thing. He said, if Victor Wembanyama stands in the corner during a game for 20 minutes and does nothing, suddenly he's eligible for Defensive Player of the Year. And he wouldn't be if he didn't do that. That's not a rule. That's a joke. Vinny Goodwill came out with a proposal. He said the 65-game rule is fine, but he wants a modification. He said, if you don't get to 65, you can't win MVP. You can't be All-NBA first team. But can you be second team? Can you be third team? Yes. He also wants an appeals process for players who fall 1 game short. And he wants stars to be held accountable. He wants them to play. He wants fans to get what they paid for. And look, I understand that. The rule was put in place because of load management. Because fans were buying tickets to see LeBron or Kawhi or Embiid, and those guys were sitting out on a Tuesday night in Milwaukee for no reason. The NBA had to do something. But the rule isn't punishing load management. It's punishing injuries. Cade Cunningham has a collapsed lung. Luka Doncic had a hamstring injury. Wemby has a rib contusion that affects his breathing. These aren't guys taking nights off. These are legitimate, painful, season-altering injuries. And here's where David Dennis Jr. went off. He said, "The rule does not need to exist because voters already do not vote for people for not playing enough games." And he's right. Historically, voters have always factored games played into their decisions. Bill Walton won MVP in 1978 playing 58 games, but that was before the media voted. Since the media started voting in 1981, nobody has won MVP playing fewer than 65 games. Nobody. So the rule is solving a problem that didn't exist. But Vinny pushed back. He said, "We are looking at the end and not the beginning. The rule was put in place so that fans can buy a ticket, sit down at the game, and know that the best player will not be in street clothes. You have to put the rule in place to incentivize players to play." And that's a fair point. But here's the problem. The players who are being penalized are the ones who are playing. Cade played 61 games. Luka played 64. Wemby is at 64. These aren't guys who sat out 20 games. These are guys who missed a few weeks because something broke. David then made the argument that really hit me. He said, "When I'm talking to my son and he asks why Victor Wembanyama didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, I have to say, well, son, it's because Kawhi Leonard didn't play enough games in 2022. That doesn't make any sense." And he's right. The rule is creating a historical record that is false. The best defensive player in the world, maybe the best defensive player of a generation, might not win Defensive Player of the Year because of a bruised rib. That's not justice. That's not accuracy. That's a technicality. And let's talk about the money. Because these awards aren't just trophies. They're tied to Supermax contracts. Players lose millions of dollars if they don't make All-NBA. So the rule isn't just hurting feelings. It's hurting bank accounts. And it's hurting teams' salary cap situations. David said, "It is such a catastrophic decision." And I agree. Now, Vinny reminded everyone that the rule was collectively bargained. The players agreed to it. But just because something was agreed to doesn't mean it can't be changed. The NBA changed the play-in tournament. They changed the lottery odds. They can change this. And this season, more than any other, has exposed the flaw. Too many stars have missed time with real injuries. Not load management. Real injuries. So what's the solution? I like Vinny's idea of a tiered system. First team requires 65 games. Second team requires 60. Third team requires 55. Something like that. Or an appeals process for legitimate injuries. A collapsed lung isn't the same as a sore knee. A rib contusion isn't the same as load management. The NBA has the ability to make nuanced decisions. They just need the will to do it. But here's the bottom line. Victor Wembanyama is going to play on Friday against the Mavericks. He's going to get his 20 minutes. He's going to be eligible for DPOY. And he's going to win it. Because he's the best defensive player in the league. But the fact that we are even having this conversation, the fact that he has to suit up in a meaningless game, risk aggravating an injury that affects his breathing, just to check a box, shows that the rule is broken. The NBA wanted to punish load management. Instead, they're punishing greatness. Here's my question for you. Should the NBA keep the 65-game rule, modify it, or get rid of it completely? And does Wemby deserve DPOY even if he misses a few games? Drop a comment. Let me know. And if you want more of these breakdowns, hit that like button and subscribe. We are building something real here. I'll see you in the next one.